Well, welcome again. I'm Reverend Karen Einhaus. I am the spiritual leader of this amazing community. I want to do a little recap for April for those of you who are new here and joining us here in the sanctuary and online, and for all of us really, because April has been a powerful month. It was a month where the theme was fertilizing our future. And the whole month was really geared towards taking a little longer view, getting from that instant gratification that we can get wrapped up in, and lifting our gaze a little bit more to the horizon. We heard from a study that was done what happy people anchor into every day. And let's see how many remember. There were 4 things that happy people anchor into every day. It was faith, family, friends, and work. And faith really stands for connecting to the divine, becoming aware that there's something greater than I am, and I am invited to connect to that. And then family stands for connecting with those beloveds that we have a mystical relationship with. You know, the voice that you hear on the radio, not on the radio, the voice that you hear on the telephone, and you're immediately, it's my mom, my daughter, my beloved, whoever it is. So daily, to give ourselves an opportunity to anchor into connecting with somebody that we share this mystical relationship with. And then friends is really all of the beloveds that we don't get a benefit from, that we are simply connecting with for the pure enjoyment of life. And then work is standing for giving our gifts and being valued for being engaged in giving our gifts. And so that was very helpful for me to schedule my days and be mindful of that. And then Reverend Leslie reminded us of that wonderful process that was brought forth by Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith, which is the visioning. And we actually did a visioning during that service where we ask ourselves, so where am I going? What is Spirit's highest vision for my life? And who do I need to become to fulfill that vision and bring it forth? What may I need to release? And what am I asked to embrace? And then that last question in visioning, people's favorites, is there anything else? Yes. And then, of course, last week we had our wonderful Easter service and the revealing of the platform. And I just talked to one beloved, I'm not going to name names. She said, I've been sitting here for 25 minutes and I just now realized something is different. And yes, for those of you who are here for the first time, take my word for it. It was a big, big change. So all of that is to say that it brings us to this now moment, and our talk today is actually the power of renewal. The power of renewal. And we are invited to embrace that power of renewal. I've been studying, I have become a student again, and I came across a teacher. Her name is Joan Halifax. And she is one of those magnificent beings who created a Buddhist Zen center in Santa Fe. She is a professor at the university. She writes books. She's a lead teacher there. You know, like, wow. And one of her students asked her, how do you accomplish all of that? And she thought about it and she said, on a good day, I rest a lot. On a good day, I rest a lot. Now, she explains that she's not talking about the rest that is taking naps every day, although there's nothing wrong with that. It is also not the rest that we get sometimes from a very great vacation, that rest when you had a great vacation. It's also not the rest where we kind of just escape, I gotta get out of here, stepping away from it that way. This rest that she is talking about is really a coming into this now moment, being fully in the here and now, amidst everything and anything that is going on, and being able to experience an ease and a stillness and a presence there. Do you feel the difference? Yes. And I gotta tell you, it's one of the goals, isn't it? Our goals, my goal, is not to go away and sit on a mountaintop someplace and not receive texts and emails and questions for support and all of the things. That is not my goal. I am interested in finding a way, cultivating a practice where I can be engaged in all that I love to be engaged in, and at the same time experience stillness and ease and wellness within. And so that is what we are going to explore and talk about and cultivate. She says when we cultivate these and strengthen these qualities, often through spiritual practice, through meditation, prayer, mindfulness, we strengthen our ability to be more and more in the now moment, and that is where we are able to live what is often called wholeheartedness, where we can actually be available. Now, I want to take a moment and ask you to have come to mind, how often do you find yourself in a conversation with somebody who is only physically there? Has that ever happened to you? Where you feel that they're distracted, and they are not present. I see a couple people shaking their heads, so that's great. I like that. That is what we're talking about, being able to be here now. Not wanting to have anything different. The people that are around us, anything that's happening in our life. Joan says this: busyness distracts us away from what is happening in the present moment, which we need stillness to perceive. We actually need that sense of calm stillness within in order to be able to be here now. To not let anything that came before this moment pull us away or allow the busyness. You know what I mean by busyness, right? Yeah. The busyness take us out of it. Now, she is a Buddhist monk, and she offers a koan. I pronounce that koan. I think I pronounced that correctly. A koan is a riddle that is not to be understood with our mind. I mean, right there, it's like, yeah, let me read that one. But here's what the invitation is: to open our hearts and to hear it. This particular koan that I'm going to share has been actually written in 1300 in the Chinese Tang dynasty. And I'm going to invite you to listen to it with an open heart and open mind. It is about two brothers, Yan Yan and Dao Wu. Yan Yan is sweeping the ground. His elder brother, Dao Wu, says, "Too busy." Yan Yan replies, "You should know there's one who's not busy." "Oh, you mean there are two moons?" Yan Yan then holds up the broom and says, "Which moon is this?" And that is always the moment where I take a deep breath and I'm very nice to myself, because I'm like, what? What? So I appreciate these scholars who actually take all this time to explain this to a Westerner like me. And here's what I have come to understand while I've been with this koan for the last week. There are times where I'm fulfilling a task and I am not bringing my wholehearted, loving beingness to it. And when I read this and I imagined this younger brother busying himself with sweeping, I can almost feel all that goes on in his busy mind, right? Why am I doing this? Why is he not doing this? He should be doing this. I did this yesterday. Whatever our version of that is, right? And so then when the elder brother says, "Too busy," it is this call for awakening. This call to awaken to the, what we call in science of mind, to the oneness. That whatever we do, if we bring our wholeheartedness to it, it transforms even the most elementary task. Have you ever experienced that? Have you ever washed the dishes, not being angry or annoyed by the task, but rather bringing your wholeheartedness to it? It is an amazing feeling. And so the younger brother, annoyed, the older brother says, "Too busy," and then the younger brother comes back with a smirk. I think this is the 13th century version of you know? And we do that, don't we? Somebody points it out, and I'm like, oh, we don't like that. And so then the younger brother does his little, and the older brother says something that we might translate to, there's only one. There's only one. Giving and receiving, doing and not doing, are really just the different sides of the same coin. Rest. How can we live our everyday life with the awareness to bring wholeheartedness to our work, to everything that we do? You know, rest and stillness, for me, I have to work on doing that. Now, I grew up Protestant in Germany, where it is pretty much a sin if your hands are not busy doing something. Even when you just sit around, you're expected to be knitting or crocheting or stitching or doing something productive. And this busyness, and I think that is what Joan Halifax so powerfully points to, it is that busyness that allows us not to be in this now moment and to receive all that is present right now. Take a moment wherever you find yourself and become aware of what all is being given to you right now. The air, a comfortable temperature. Somebody took the time to create the chair or the sofa that you're sitting on right now. Your very being here, wherever here is an act of love that took place however long ago. So when we take a moment and become aware of how much there is to be grateful for me, it creates that sense of wholeheartedness. But let's take a look at a couple of rests. Did you know that there are 7 different types of rests? Yeah, 7. So let's go through them. And we start off with what we're all familiar with, the physical rest, right? Maybe taking a nap or stretching. You know, if you're comfortable, stretch a little bit right now. It provides our body with such benefits. Nobody's looking. You can stretch. It's okay. A walk, all of these things are ways to provide for ourselves physical rest. And then the next one we have, I'm going to rely on you, wonderful Jeff, on the slides. Emotional rest. Emotional rest. In order to care for ourselves well, we have to know ourselves well. We have to know what are my triggers? What irritates me? And then we can set our boundaries, and we can lovingly honor our boundaries. And journaling helps wonderfully with writing down those things that help us. So that's emotional rest. And then we have mental rest, taking breaks. I love having the Peace and Meditation Garden here because every day I take a break. I take a break and I walk out there. And right there, it brings me into this now moment. Puzzles, mindfulness. What is your favorite mindfulness practice? Ask yourself, what do I like to do when I have the sense that I want to expand my awareness of mindfulness? Good questions to ask. All of that provides mental rest. And then we have sensory rest. I am so blessed to have people in my life who are often saying, okay, I'm on sensory overload. Because it's not something I was attuned to. But having people bring that up, it's like, oh, yeah. You know how bombarded we are from all sides, from all screens? And so the invitation is really to step out of it a little bit and get into nature. Maybe sit under a tree and read a book. That's what I did every day this week. I cannot tell you the difference that that makes. So that is sensory rest. And then we have creative rest. What can we do to express our creativity? Take some colors, draw, paint, dance, write, whatever. And then I love this request or suggestion. Try something new. You know what happens when we try something new? We don't know all the answers. That is actually the definition of trying something new. We have to access our beginner's mind, where we are not an expert. I don't know how to do that, but I'm going to try it out. What's the worst thing that can happen? I'm not good at it. Ooh. Yeah, I love that. Try something new. And that brings us to social rest. You know, so important. When we are with beloveds, to really be with beloveds, and when we choose to be in solitude, to just be with ourselves. And that brings forth joy. And then last but not least, spiritual rest. And that's what we talk often about here when we talk about our daily substantial practice, when we are inviting individuals to meditate, to connect with that which is greater than we are, to bring forth more moments of stillness and availability to receive all the good that is given at any moment. We have an affirmation, if you're willing to say that with me. Let's say together, I embrace my regenerative power, renewing my potential with each cycle of life. Let's say it again. I embrace my regenerative power, renewing my potential with every cycle of life. And so the invitation, the call to action is really this. See if you can allow yourself to go on a dopamine fast. And what that means is set a time, may that be an hour, a half a day, without screens, without social media, without talking to the person that triggers you. Really set a day or whatever time works for you aside. Now, when we do that, when we go on these dopamine fasts, it is essential that we know ourselves, that we understand what triggers me, what makes me feel nervous, or what irritates me. And then create a space consciously, mindfully, intentionally that has none of those triggers in it. And that might be reading a book under a tree. And I am really curious what your experience is with this. So please do let me know. And so that is really what I have to offer here. The way to enlightenment, the way to waking up to this incredible gift called life can only happen if we make space in our hearts and in this now moment, and if we rest here. Thank you. And we have an opportunity to do just that. And I'm going to invite our practitioner candidates to find a place and hold the space with me that maybe you want to rise and encircle this community, or if you're in line, to just be right where you are. These beloveds who have been trained to empty themselves out. And so it is right here, right now, that I affirm and recognize the allness of life. That I breathe in the love and the joy, the possibility, the wisdom, the kindness, and the harmony that is available at any now moment. As I consciously stand in the power of these qualities of the divine, I feel that regenerative power within me bubble up. And I realize that there's really nothing more to do but to be in the awareness of the oneness, to know that all is truly well. The divine is, I am, we are. And as we make ourselves available to feel the goodness of life pouring through us, as us, obstacles just melt away. Elegant solutions make themselves known. Life unfolds with beauty and joy and harmony. I know this for myself. I know this for every person who has placed a prayer request into our ministry of prayer. I know this for every person everywhere. Love, the answer, is available. And so it is with such gratitude, with so much love, that I simply call this good and very good, that I place this word into universal law, that I let it go. It is done, it is complete. And together we anchor this truth as we say, and so it is.